the third season of Netflix's Love on the Spectrum series came out recently, and I will admit, the first time that I came across the concept for this show, it gave me pause, because what they do is they set up young adults who have either autism or Down syndrome or some other neurological disability on dates with each other. And a lot of the show, admittedly, is cringe. And naturally so. That's why I watch normal dating shows. I watch them for the cringe. But this specific concept feels like punching down sometimes, you know, because they don't know that they're being cringe. They don't know that people who don't have autism, like, look at them as weird. And they don't have a concept of, you know, how to act or how they're perceived. And that just comes with the condition of like having autism, you know? So they're socially stunted young adults, and a lot of them also act younger than their real age too. And it gave me a bad feeling, because I flock to the trashy reality TV shows because it makes me feel better about myself. And I'm looking at people doing stupid things.
Yet you're somehow not punching down, you're punching up.
Right.
Because they're like, I mean,
well, at least when I'm watching Real Housewives, I mean, they don't have to act like that.
Yeah.
They're choosing to. But, you know, when I was watching the first 2 seasons of Love on the Spectrum, I was thinking, am I like being mean right now for laughing at people with disabilities?
Would you categorize this show as exploitative?
I considered it at one point, especially because sometimes they would set up a contestant with Down syndrome on a date with someone who has autism. And there is a huge maturity gap and just cognition gap between those two people that I felt was wrong. And I felt like, I don't know if this person's parents should or guardians, caretakers, should be allowing them to date or do any of these adult things when they're not mentally an adult. That consideration aside, though, I don't think it is exploitative, because a lot of them who have autism, although they're different, they're still capable of having relationships, and I do think they should pursue that with other people of a similar level of maturity.
But is the idea here that they're able to consent to being put into a production like this, where they know they're going to be, or they may or may not know that they're going to be exploited based on their disability?
That's an open question. Yeah. But, you know, now that the third season has come out and I'm seeing clips getting posted everywhere, it's becoming a very popular show, I realized that maybe it's not the cynical endeavor that I thought it was originally. It's not leading into cringe culture. I think it's actually doing something to combat cringe culture.
On purpose or by accident?
Possibly inadvertently. I don't know, but it seems like inadvertently.
If it's happening, I would put any money down that it's inadvertent.
I'm loath to use this term, neurotypical, but I think a lot of quote unquote neurotypical people, especially younger, like Gen Zers, are going and watching this show and realizing that, like, they might be onto something. Like, these people on the show who have autism, they're generally not the chronically online types. They generally have very innocent ideas about love and romance and dating. They tend to actually fall into more traditional concepts because they aren't irony poisoned. They don't understand the concept of being cringe. They just do what feels natural to them. And they're earnestly, sincerely seeking connection in a way that people are not capable of doing these days.
Some might say that the ability to live your life without having to worry about whether you are or are not cringe is actually maybe the most freeing experience you could have. Because ever since the advent of social media, we live in a world now where you have to have your hackles up at any time, because people don't want to be perceived as cringe or be perceived as stupid or dumb. And anyway, it's one of the reasons why we live in a culture now that isn't able to take direction, and people don't understand that knowing the answer to something isn't the same thing as understanding the answer to something, because nobody wants to feel like they're the one who's the butt of the joke.
That plagues dating culture these days, is everyone being so self-conscious. And the best thing about the people who participate in this show is that they completely lack that crippling self-consciousness, and they actually tend to not think like, oh, am I being too much right now? Like, a guy these days would think like, oh, should I bring flowers on a date? Like, that might be too much. Or should I compliment her? I don't want to be creepy. Or should I do this or that? The guys on this show are just like showing up to a first date with a bouquet, calling her beautiful. They're like doing these grand gestures. They might as well be throwing their jacket down on a puddle. And
good for them.
It's like actual chivalry that they don't they don't second guess themselves in doing it at all. And the girls that they are dating also appreciate it, but they're just not good at showing that they appreciate it. But I wanted to show a couple of clips of this one guy named Connor on Love on the Spectrum and his date Georgie that are going viral right now because it's just so like strikingly different to what you see.
This one here
these days.
This one here? Okay. Here we go.
Aging beautifully, thank you.
Quite beautifully, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, Georgie. It's just... I don't know. Or Georgie, it's just... something about you just... It's... oh, God, I'm rambling. I just feel you have a certain appeal, a certain free spirit about you that I. Yeah. Wait. Georgie, would you excuse me a moment? I need to use the restroom.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Okay.
She is something else. Where have you been all my life? Where have you? Where have you?
I am...
Okay, on its face, it feels very scripted to me.
So you think it's all fake?
It seems fake to me.
Really?
I don't know. But even if it is, look, if we were watching a movie right now, a movie written by like a competent director, there would be some finance bro who makes fun of him and he'd be the bad guy, right? There's nothing bad about what we just watched there. That was quite wholesome.
But there's like a demon on my shoulder that's telling me like, no, this is cringe. But I reject that.
I don't see any way in which it was framed. Again, we're looking at clips, not the whole episode, so there might be vital context that I'm missing here. But nothing in that clip there seems to be played for jokes.
No.
So, you know.
You laugh because it's uncomfortable to watch, but also because it's cute.
I didn't find it uncomfortable to watch. In fact, the fact that they were who they were made it more comfortable to watch. In fact, I find the utter agency of normal people who then choose to be awful to other people worse than two people who are simply having a first encounter and I guess are being quite, like you said, the lack of irony poisoning is wholesome and awesome. Whereas if I was to watch something like this with two people that would be considered, I guess, of what, average, would that be average intelligence? I'm not trying to be mean here. Like,
I don't know,
people without the conditions, neurotypical. I guess there would just be a whole lot of baggage there that would feel fake.
That's why people drink when they're out on a date, you know, to lower the inhibitions that are stopping them from saying what's truly on their mind. One of the comments said, he's bringing back yearning.
So we literally did a video last week while you were gone. I played the clip from the Goo Goo Dolls singing Iris in the rain, and the question was like, where did this type of music go? Why don't men yearn anymore?
This is a real thing. Like,
there is, and my point to that segment was, there is a cynicism about people today where you don't, and the same thing happened to like classic good R&B music as well, that the issues they spoke of at that time were mainly the issues of white middle-class dudes, everyday normal people concerns, and things like love. And those ideas aren't championed by these industries anymore. And the only way it seems that they will champion those ideas in earnest is if there's some type of hook that they feel they can get you with, in which case we have this. Otherwise, they won't do it amongst the normal population, even though those types of ideas are so universally understood that they always sell. But they can't do it anymore.
Well, that's why this started out as something I was watching for the cringe factor, and it turned into a comfort show. Another person said, Love on the Spectrum is so peak because what do you mean this guy got her an American Girl doll on the second date because she collects them? And what do you mean this girl didn't eat gluten all day in case her date who has celiac disease wanted to kiss? Romance is so back. Like, those are just earnest gestures of enthusiasm for another person.
You know why? Because if a guy was to put that idea out into the universe, red pill dudes would say, stop putting her on a pedestal. And girls would say, eat all the bread you want. Fuck him.
Right, exactly.
Like, eat your bread, queen.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about this, self-centeredness and self-consciousness that is disguised as it's sort of disguised as being secure in oneself, and it's the polar opposite. And I have noticed Gen Z is bringing this term up a lot. Have you heard it? I want to get a read on whether you've been clued into this discourse. They're talking about being a true lover boy or a true lover girl. This is a term they're using.
Let me guess. What does it mean? I've never heard that term before.
It's like bringing back yearning, basically. So like they point out like someone like Connor in that clip, and they say he's bringing back being a true lover boy, meaning that you don't pretend not to care. You don't pretend to be nonchalant or like whatever. Like, you don't pretend to be cool or too cool for this person, or you don't ghost, and you don't like leave someone on red for a few hours to make them like wait or something. Playing all these games. It's about like rejecting all of these stupid games that everyone is playing.
Do you remember the photo from like the start of the year of the guy who brought the bouquet of roses on the first date?
Yes, and the way he was just excoriated.
And everybody argued with him about whether a bouquet of roses was right for a first date. There's a certain level of power in not concerning yourself whether it is right or wrong and just doing it. And if it doesn't go well, then you adjust for future endeavors. But like I said before, everybody's so worried about making any mistake at all that it prevents them from moving forward at all.
Right. I saw this other reel recently where a girl captioned it saying like, someone is pursuing me romantically, but I haven't reached my dream body and I haven't gotten my dream job, and I haven't bought a house yet, and I haven't done this, and this. And you're not, the optimized version of yourself, therefore you cannot fall in love. That's where people are at now. And you see so much content both targeted at men and women that encourages them to be as manipulative as possible in the dating world. Saying things to trigger a certain response from the other person instead of saying something because it's true or because it's what you feel.
And it's why when people actually like, there's a reason why like stories about romance and love stand the test of time, because if you're not irony poisoned and you actually experience it, it's a universally understood feeling. Even if it's different for each person, it's still a universal feeling. There's a 20 there from Jared May.
Brett, I agree with your context point. Watch Connor develop via Love on the Spectrum season 2. Yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons. I haven't watched the 3rd season yet. But I highly recommend if any of you haven't seen it already. I normally go to these types of shows to cringe, but I just found it quite wholesome, actually, and I changed my mind. Just wanted to share that.
Olivia would let you all know that I brought back True Lover Boy ages ago.
True Lover Boy energy.
That's me.
Yearner. He's a true yearner.
That's me. and look, in this job, it's also one of those things where when I covered that segment about the songs, people are like, it's just this song, it's not that deep. And my point wasn't to be deep. My point was to analyze where this genre has gone, why this type of music is no longer around. And their response is exactly the point.
Right, yeah.
That type of cynical...
It's not that deep.
That cynical, dismissive response is exactly why I wanted to talk about it. And ironically, them saying it they don't realize they're kind of proving my point.
Right.
Because we were talking about, well, there's no market for it anymore. The music industry doesn't invest in it the same way they used to. These artists aren't on the Hot 100 in the way that they were back in the 90s and the 2000s. And everything now is about, it's not about yearning. It's about degeneracy and and being self-absorbed.
Yeah. All the songs are about like revenge, sexual degeneracy, self-love, or some mix of all three.
It's too risky to put yourself out there like that. There's too much truth in being that honest with people. And I actually love the idea of being able to do that. But practically speaking, when you work in the space, you do that every day, you either become a satire of yourself or you learn how to engage with it when it comes about. But you can't be like that all the time, even if you're. It's why I give so much leeway to actors when they say stupid stuff. They're emotional by nature. They're looking to understand and connect with the emotions of a character, and doing that all the time is a very uniquely taxing experience. Which is why I'm always like, they're not all there. You would have to almost not be all. And I don't say that in a mean way. I say you kind of have to not be all there to want to disengage your own emotions and invest in the emotions of somebody that isn't real or theoretical for a living. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the world is irony poisoned.
Yep.
And there's just kind of a lot that's sad to me.
I'm getting sick of that, and I will celebrate whatever combats that spirit of cynicism.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.